Welcome to the spring semester, and in particular to BUL 3320, Law and Business 1. This is a hybrid course for the spring of 2018. Make sure that you're registered for the proper CRN. The CRN for our class is 11034. My name is Professor Figueres, and I will be teaching this course. Just by way of brief background, a little bit about me. I was sitting where you guys were not too long ago. I actually graduated from FGCU back in the early days in 2002, and I got a bachelor's degree in finance. I went on to receive a master's degree in finance from the University of Florida, a law degree from the University of Florida, and an LLM in taxation from the University of Alabama. So it's a little bit about me, so I'm kind of familiar with what it's like to be on your end there. Please refer to this syllabus, as I do follow it pretty closely, so make sure that this is the guide that you go by. It's important to keep in mind that it is a hybrid class. We do meet on Thursdays. If you look, there are actually provided the dates when we will actually be meeting in person. Our first in-person meeting will be January 18th, then February 1st, February 15th, and so forth every other week. The class meets on Thursday at 7:30 p.m. at Lutger Hall 1206. Just to go through the syllabus here a little bit. There's information about me there. The best way to get a hold of me is via email. Please make sure that that's how you contact me. I'm pretty good about responding. I usually respond within 24 hours. If I don't, for whatever reason, it may be that I either didn't see your email or it got caught in spam or something else. So please, if you don't hear back from me within 24 hours, please resend the email. Again, this has never really been a problem for me. I'm pretty good about responding to emails. My office hours. My office is on the third floor of Lutger Hall. It's LH 3366. I will be there on, it's here it says Tuesdays and Thursdays. There's a typo there. It's actually Mondays and Thursdays from 6:30 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. or by appointment if you need it as well. Teaching philosophy, I'll let you read through that. Main thing is that I am an adjunct instructor. I have a very strong background in both business and law. I actually teach finance. I teach real estate finance and some other classes other than law. But I am a practicing attorney. So what I try and do is bring some real life examples to the classroom to try and make it, number one, a little more interesting, since I know that a lot of you aren't as interested in the law as I am. That's number one. And number two, also so that some of the more obscure concepts in the law that we'll be covering actually become clearer. So not only will I give you examples similar to those that you see in the book, but I'll actually give you examples from my real life practice. I'm a litigator, so I'm in the trial. I'm in the courtroom a lot, whether it's with hearings or trials, and I've seen quite a bit when it comes to litigation from a business perspective. I've done all sorts of business litigation, so that's kind of my approach and my philosophy to teaching. I try and bring in some real life examples for you. As far as some of the required resources, the book that we'll be using is Business Law 16th edition by Mann and Roberts. Smith and Robertson's is what the book is called. I provided you with the EIN. Optional for those of you that want to. There is a CPA exam review by Gleim, G-L-E-I-M. And again, this is all here in the syllabus. If you're interested, it gives you some little bit additional information or something to work with. Class meetings I already talked about, where they're at. Please bear in mind here, and I kind of highlighted the fact our final exam is on Thursday, May 3rd at a different time. It's 5:45 to 8 p.m. Same room, but a little bit earlier time. So please make sure that you make a note of that right now, um, because if you need to make some alternate arrangements for whatever reason, um, please make sure that you do, right? Whether you work or have other things that you need to tend to. So again, with plenty of time, May 3rd at 5:45 p.m., that's when we are holding the final. Attendance policy, again, it's a hybrid class, so I do expect to have some online participation. There will be some assignments that you have to turn in and some video lectures that you will have to watch. They're going to be in the very similar format to what you'll see here. And in fact, you'll have an opportunity to look at my lecture for the first week coming up, but very similar. I will also be providing you with some PowerPoints as guidance. Remember that the PowerPoints are a summary of the book. They're not meant to be a substitute for the book. So again, it's a summary of it's highlights from the chapter and those items that I believe are more important and probably we need to discuss in a little more depth or detail. But again, please don't rely just on the PowerPoints. The textbook is what the exams are going to be based off of. So again, even though I may not cover it in one of my slides, it's fair game if it's in the textbook. So my slides are pretty good as far as summarizing the chapters and kind of giving you a good overview of what it is. Since it is a hybrid class and we don't meet every week, attendance on those weeks that we do meet is extremely important. Please bear in mind, I'm only going to be recording those lectures for the week that we will not be meeting in person. So if you don't show up or you don't attend in person, there will be nothing will be posted on Canvas. There will not be a lecture. You'll simply miss that. And for purposes of this class, we cover a lot of material. It is very important that you do show up and that you also view the video lectures in order to stay on top of the material, and that way you don't fall behind. If you do miss a session for whatever reason, you can obtain notes from your classmates, but you will be responsible for the material that's covered in class, whether you're there or not. And likewise, that's also true for the video lectures. Whether you view them or not, you're going to be responsible for the material that's in there. I will make sure that I always post them ahead of time, so you will have them available. And if you do miss, if you don't watch it the week that we don't meet for whatever reason, they will remain on Canvas. So you can kind of work around your schedule as far as when you watch that, as long as obviously you do it prior to the exam. There's also absence policy there. I have been known to increase your final grade by half a letter grade based on participation and also based on attendance. So again, I'll leave that up to you. I have been known to do that in the past. Late and makeup work. No late or makeup work will be accepted. No exceptions. Please don't ask. This is very important. Every semester I get emails about, I didn't realize that the quiz was due on such and such a date, or I didn't realize that the homework was due. Again, I post everything ahead of time. I'm actually posting an agenda along with this syllabus, so I expect all of the work to be turned in a timely manner. If you do not do that, please don't ask for an exception. I cannot grant you one. Please bear in mind that if I were to grant exceptions, I would have to do it for the entire class. I couldn't do it just for one person. So it's not going to happen. So again, please don't ask. Quizzes and exams. Quizzes will cover the current material. They may be administered online, in class, or both. Again, in the past, I've used a format where I have done both. If they are online, it'll be done through Canvas. So I will give you a little bit more information related to that when we do meet and we do have quizzes. And again, I may or may not do that. I don't know. It's relative, but I do reserve the right to do it. So please be prepared for quizzes. In either case, if there is a quiz, it will always be after we cover the material in class. I will not give you a quiz on material that may have been assigned but not yet covered in class. I've never done that. I always wait till I discuss it in class, then it's fair game for a quiz. Please don't cheat on online quizzes. If you do get an online quiz, I've seen people cheat in the past. Very easily to Google and try and get the answer from Google or from, there are so many different places where you can get answers nowadays. Please don't do that. I'm pretty good about noticing when people do that. Remember, you're all studying here to be accountants, which means you're professionals, just like lawyers, just like engineers, just like architects. You're going to be held to a higher standard throughout your career. And I expect that to begin now. You're preparing for your career. You're preparing to be a professional. You should behave like one. Again, if you cheat, really, you're only cheating yourself. You're not cheating me. You're not, in the end, you're the one that needs to take the CPA exam. You're the one that needs to understand the material. And again, you're only cheating yourself. And again, for me, it's very, very easy to tell. I'm not going to tell exactly how I'm able to do that, but it's very easy for me to tell when you do that. Please don't. It can get you kicked out of school. There's a lot of negative consequences to that. So please just don't. Not worth it. Not worth it. Your quizzes aren't enough of your grade for you to even be thinking about doing that anyway. But please, again, it's just part of the ethical conduct that we would expect from you as professionals. Also, please, no cell phones on the desk, whether you're taking a quiz or an exam. Everything should be off the table. Again, some of these things are pretty obvious, but you'd be surprised at how not so obvious they actually are in real life. So please keep that in mind. As far as exams, they cover the content from the assigned readings, from any in-class discussions, video lectures, and any quizzes. A lot of the concepts in law carry over throughout the course. So the final exam is comprehensive. What I've done in the past and what I think I'll be doing again, I will weigh it very heavily towards the latter part of the material that we cover. And again, you'll see it in the agenda. I think it's the last 5 or 6 chapters that we cover. So I will definitely continue with the way I normally do things, which is, again, to weigh it a lot more heavily towards the latter chapters that we cover. But it is comprehensive in nature, so please keep that in mind. What I have done in the past, and I will likely do again, is I have allowed students to use an 8.5 by 11 cheat sheet with handwritten notes. Can't be typed, can't be Xerox, can't be whatever. It must be your handwriting. You can put in there whatever you want. So if there's a particular terminology that gives you a hard time, a particular example that you need to help you out, I'm fine with that. So please make use of that, but don't rely on that. But from experience, if you need to rely on your cheat sheet, you're not going to have enough time on the exam anyway to be really looking for a lot of stuff in the cheat sheet. So it should be more a memory aid more than anything else, more than you trying to find the answer. If you're trying to use the cheat sheet to find an answer and you're relying on that, I think you're going to have a hard time. So please use it more as a memory aid or device than anything else. The exams will be in class. They take place at the beginning of the indicated period, so at 7:30 is when we begin the exam, and you'll usually have an hour and 15 minutes for the exam. The way I work these 3-hour classes, I split them into 2 hour and 15-minute blocks with a 15-minute break, which is kind of the way it would work if you were taking this class twice a week. So if you were taking it Tuesdays and Thursdays, for example, you'd be taking it on Tuesday for an hour and 15 minutes and Thursdays for an hour and 15 minutes. So that's the way I treat the class. I will treat the first section and usually cover one chapter during the first hour and 15 minutes. We'll get a 15-minute break to rest and also for me to rest my voice. And then we will, the next hour and 15 minutes, we'll cover the next chapter. So that's how we'll do it again on those days that when we are in class. So again, there's going to be 5 exams. So what I've done, what I like to do is break the material down into more manageable parts. I know in the past, I've experienced with different formats. I know that some professors that teach the class will only give you a midterm and a final. I've experienced that midterm and a final, 3 exams, but I do find it easier if we break it down into more manageable parts. And even though we're taking exams a lot quicker, or there's only a few weeks between exams, I do find it that it's a lot easier for you to both study the material and retain the material when we do it this way. So I like to have 5 exams. And my experience is that people usually do better when we have this format. So we're going to have 5 exams. Again, those are in the agenda, which we'll go over in a little bit. I am very good about sticking to the agenda. So please, again, look at the dates when the exams are scheduled, and please make sure that you're here on those dates. If you have something else that's scheduled, again, please don't ask me if you can take it at another time or another day. You need to rearrange your schedule. The syllabus, again, very clearly spells out when those exams are going to be held, and I expect you to be there for those exams. So if there's anything, any conflict that you have with anything other than this class, I would expect you to make arrangements with that other conflict. And again, just from experience, I know I'm going to get people asking me about this. Please don't ask. I cannot have you take the exam at another time. Again, bear in mind, there's many of you in the class. If I made special arrangements for each person, we'd have 40, 45 different potential test dates. So again, in order to be fair both to you and to me, the exams will be only given on the dates um, that they are scheduled. Those of you that have special accommodations through adaptive services, that's a little bit different story. Please make arrangements through them. I will make sure that they have the exams ahead of time. And again, that's between you and adaptive services as to when you schedule the exam itself, but it must be that same within 3 days of when we take the exam ourselves. The grades for the class, you can see here calculated on a scale of 100. And so what I did is I took each of the first 4 exams, and those are worth 15% of your grade. I took your final exam, and that's 25% of your grade. And then I have this general category of assignments, that's 15% of your grade. And assignments is a combination of some homework assignments. You'll see some problems that are assigned in the agenda. Could be quizzes. Could be some group work related to cases in the book. And all of that falls under that umbrella of assignments. I already talked about the exam itself, but there's more information about the exam questions there. Please make sure you bring a Scantron to each exam. The other thing, I will post your grades to Canvas for the exam, so please go to Canvas. Another thing I cannot do is I cannot give you your grade over email or over the telephone. So please don't call, please don't email me and ask me how you did on a particular exam. I cannot provide that information to you. Go to Canvas. I will post your grade on Canvas, and that's where you'll see it. I am pretty good, even though I'm an adjunct instructor, I am pretty good about posting all of the grades in a timely manner. So you usually don't need to worry about waiting a long time to find out what your grade is. The only exception to this is the final. The final exam, I do not post your results on Canvas. What I actually do is I post your final grade, which includes your final exam, on Golfline. So again, after you take the final, don't email me and ask me how you did on the final. I cannot provide that information. If you're really interested in the score that you got on the final, please come and see me during my office hours the following semester. I teach every semester, and I'll be more than happy to not only um, give you your grade, but also discuss the exam. That's another thing. I normally don't go over the exam in class. Once you turn the exam in, I keep it. I post your grades. You usually don't see your exam again unless you have a question. Please, if you have any question whatsoever about the exam, or if you want to know how you did specific, you're going to know what your grade is based on Canvas, but if you want to know which specific questions you missed on the exam, please see me. I'll be more than happy to sit down with you, show you your exam, and go over your exam with you. But again, I will keep the exam. I do not get those back, and I normally do not go over the exam in class. Sometimes I will, in particular if there is a question or problem that I feel more people missed than what I believe they should have. Um, Frequently missed questions, for example, I'll usually go over those in class just for the benefit of the class. But again, that's the policy regarding grades and exams. The other thing to bear in mind, please, there are no makeup exams. The only exception is if there's a medical or other emergency, for example, a death in the family, etc. If it's something medical, it's got to be documented. Bring me a doctor's note, bring me something to prove that you could not make it for that exam. Do not wait until after the exam to tell me you had an issue that prevented you from taking the exam. At that point, it's too late and you will not be able to make up the exam. If you have a legitimate emergency, I will certainly and definitely work with you. So please let me know. You may have some other type of emergency that's not medical or whatever it may be in nature. As long as it's an emergency, I'm pretty fair. So please talk to me. If you don't talk to me and I don't know, and you come to me after the fact, it's too late. Okay, so again, please let me know. If you give me notice, we can work something out, and whatever that something is, I don't know. It may be that we add, usually I will not allow you to take an exam that you have not taken. So normally what I will do is add the percentage to the next exam or add it to your final exam. So it'll be worth, for example, if you miss exam 1, which is 15%, then and we add that to your final, then your final would be worth 40% of your grade. Or we could make your exam 2 worth double or 30% of your grade. So there's different arrangements that I'm willing to work out with you. But again, please talk to me, and then we can make whatever arrangements need to be made. As far as assignments, and by assignments, I mean homework. In this particular case, I know that before I had said assignments are broader. They're quizzes, they're cases, and so forth. When we're talking about homework, the problems that are assigned in the agenda, or the cases that I'm going to be assigning to the groups, those are going to be graded on a pass-fail basis. So as long as you did it and you put in a good effort, and I do read them, so don't assume or don't think that I don't read them. I actually read all of them. So please, as long as I see that you made an effort, I'm not looking for necessarily the right answer. And a lot of times in law, that's what's frustrating for a lot of students is, in particular, this is a very basic law class, But any of you that are going to be moving on to law school or taking classes that are more from a law school perspective, you will see that there is no right or wrong answer. You will never ever have a multiple choice test in law school. And I shouldn't say that. There's some exceptions, but very few of them. For the most part, law is not about right or wrong answers. For the most part, law is about identifying the issue, identifying the law that applies to that issue, identifying your particular set of facts, and applying the facts and the law to that particular issue that you're faced with. So that's what makes the law complicated, really, and that's the reason why we don't have an answer that fits every situation. And that's also why it's very frustrating for a lot of students, even law students in the beginning, when many times you will ask a question, and most of the time, probably over 90% of the time, my answer to you will be, it depends. And that's because in law, it really does. It depends on the facts. It depends on, could depend on the state that you're in, right? The answer to your question may be different in Florida than it is in California because the laws are different. So those are the types of things that that you need to be aware of. Those are the nuances. So again, I am looking for I will be grading on a pass-fail. In other words, whether you did it and you put in what I believe to be a decent effort at answering the question. And I'm not looking for necessarily a right or wrong answer, even though some of those questions will have an answer. I already mentioned the emphasis there about not being able to provide information. My grading policy, very straightforward, typical A 90%, B 80%, and so forth. As far as technology problems, if you're taking a quiz on Canvas, for example, and there's some type of system error that doesn't allow you to complete the assignment, Canvas goes down, for example, then you gotta notify me right away. You gotta email me right away and say, hey, I was just on Canvas, I was just doing quiz, whatever, and Canvas went down. I have the ability to go into Canvas. I have the ability to see what time you logged in, how long you spent on Canvas, and if there's any issues, normally I'm able to see them. And if I cannot resolve the problem, then I'm able to provide you at least with the information where you can notify the people over at Canvas or the technology desk at school to see if they can help you with it. A lot of times it may not be a Canvas issue. A lot of times it may be technology or computer problem or internet problem on your end. And again, just bear in mind you're responsible for any of those issues. So what I'm going to tell you is do not wait till the last minute to do an assignment. If you wait until the last minute to do the assignment and you have a problem with your computer, a problem with the internet, I'm sorry, that's going to be on you. I'm not going to be able to allow you to retake that quiz or fix that problem. So please make sure I give you plenty of time to do the assignments. Please make sure that you start them before the due date or that you complete them before the due date. That way, if you do have any technology problems or any issues, you're able to get a hold of me and we're able to resolve it. So again, if you wait till the last minute, that's your choice and that's going to be your problem at that point. There's not much that I'm going to be able to do. So you're forewarned. As far as groups, you'll be assigned to a group, and in fact, if you go on Canvas, you'll see that you would have been already placed in a group. I did that randomly. Actually, I didn't choose the groups. I let Canvas put you in groups. I'm going to ask that when you guys do come to class and we are in the face-to-face meetings, that you do sit in your groups. The cases in each of the chapter, the ones that are assigned, and you'll see which those are in the agenda, will be assigned to a specific group. However, every group needs to be ready to answer the problems. And even though I may assign a particular case to a specific group, if I don't do that, I may assign it to any group. So it means that all of the groups have to be prepared to answer that problem. So when we do meet in class, not the problem, but the case. So let's assume that you are assigned case 3-2 in the book. Every group has to be prepared to analyze and answer questions about that case. And it may be that when we, in fact, that's more than likely the way it's going to be, when we do show up to class and we get to that point where we're going to discuss the group, I may say, Group 4, can you please tell us what the facts are of case 3-2? And I need Group 4, whoever's in that group, to be prepared to do that. I may then, at that point, I may say Group 6, what was the issue that the court was analyzing in that case? Group 8, what was the law that the court applied to that case? Group 10, what was the conclusion of the court? So I will likely jump around between groups, asking different questions of different groups. So please be ready for that. That's a little bit more the style of what you would see in law school. So I use it on a limited basis only as it pertains to the case. And again, please do not be afraid. Do not be concerned. I am not looking for a right or wrong answer, although if I'm asking what the facts are, obviously I would expect you to know the facts. But if you get something wrong, right, it's a learning process. I don't expect everybody to know everything or get everything right. That's why we're in school. That's why we're learning together. So please don't be afraid to provide an answer, even though it may not be the right answer. That's why we're here together, to learn as a group. And I do find it that when you're part of a group, it makes it easier from a legal perspective to discuss the different legal terminology, the different legal issues, and a lot of times discuss it back and forth. You may come to a consensus or you may not. And that's part of the learning process. And I do think it's very important in law classes to be able to do that. For ethics, I'll let you read that, but ethics is extremely important topic in today's environment, in particular when it comes to accountants. As you're well aware, there have been a lot of ethical issues with accountants in the past, going all the way back to the Enron fiasco back in 1998, and Adelphi and WorldCom and some other issues. So accountants kind of gave or some bad apples, right? Gave the accountants a bad name in general. There's a lot of regulation related to that, but there's a lot of emphasis nowadays on ethics. That's extremely, extremely important. So please keep that in mind. The other thing to keep in mind is that even though I am an attorney, I work for FGCU. I'm a professor. I cannot provide legal advice. So I know that a lot of you do have personal legal questions. I'll be more than happy to refer you to an attorney, but I cannot answer legal questions pertaining to your particular situation or your particular case. So please bear that in mind, and please do not be offended when I tell you that I can't answer those questions. I'm just not able to. The other thing that's important is first week of class, we are not meeting in person. Please make sure that you log into Canvas and you complete the first week assignment, which is really a syllabus type of quiz. Please make sure that you do that. That is how the financial aid office determines attendance for financial aid purposes. And this is extremely important, not only for students, and not only for those that receive financial aid, but for all students. So please do that. Again, the confirmation of the attendance will be the completion of that syllabus quiz that you'll see in Canvas. If you fail to complete the mandatory attendance confirmation by the deadline, which is the end of the day on Friday, 3 points will be reduced from your overall course points. So please make sure that you answer that. As far as the department policies, I'm not going to go into those. I'll let you guys read those. They're fairly straightforward, very similar to those that I'm sure you've seen from other classes. So again, university statements about dishonesty and non-discrimination, religious holidays, disabilities. I'll let you read all of that. Here's another thing that is very important. Your students are not allowed to audio tape or videotape the class lectures. So other than the ones that I actually post on Canvas, when we do meet in person, please do not videotape or audio tape or take pictures of any notes or other materials that I may provide. There's also a statement here about the remote online exam monitoring. For purposes of this class, that will not be an issue because our final exam will be in person. So again, this is here more for your information other than anything else. And here's another thing that's very, very important. Please make sure that you do not fall behind in the class. That really is one of the dangers that you have when you have a hybrid class like this or a fully online class, is that there is more of a burden on you as the student to keep up with the class. I will make sure that I have all of my materials posted in a timely manner and that you have everything that you need in a timely manner, but it's up to you to actually log into Canvas and review the material. And that's extremely important. And again, I can see when you log in, I can see how long you spend on Canvas. So please make sure that you do that. That is the way to succeed in the class. If you do not do that, it will be very difficult to do well in the class because we do cover a lot of material. So if you fall behind and you say, hey, you know, the professor posted the lectures on Canvas, they're all on there, I'll review them before the exam. That's a lot of material to review right before an exam. And, you know, if it works for you and that's how you do things, great. But from experience, that normally does not work. So again, also based on experience, this is the type of class where you do need to keep up. Having said that, if you have any questions, please see me. If you need my help, tell me that I'm here to help you. I want everybody to learn. I want everybody to do well. So normally, from experience, nobody ever comes to my office hours. Very rarely do I have anybody come. I'm always there, and I'm usually just reading material or preparing for another class or whatever the case may be. But I'm there for you. That is your time. Take advantage of it if you feel that you need it. If you don't, that's fine. Nothing wrong with you not coming if you understand. But if you have any questions, that is the time for you to ask. And again, I'm here to help you. That's my job. So having said that, then let's move on here to the last part of the syllabus, which is the actual agenda. And it looks like here, at least on my screen, it's not populating properly. There it is. It's starting to a little bit, but not very well. Let's see if I can fix this a little bit. Give me a few minutes. There we go. It looks like it got it to come up here. So if you look at it, I was pretty good about putting all of our schedule there on a weekly basis. So you can see everything from week 1 all the way down to the final week that we'll be together, which is week 17. So you got everything there from week 1 to week 17. You also have the date. January 11th is our first day of class. And if you look at the location, you'll see that that is online. So that's why you're listening to the syllabus here. And this week we will actually cover chapters 1 and chapters 3. So other than this syllabus lecture, you'll also be getting a lecture on chapter 1 and chapter 3 in the book. The next column over will show you again, so you have the location, you have the chapters that we're covering, then you have the cases that are assigned for that particular chapter. So for example, for chapter 1, there's cases 1-1, and for chapter 3, there's cases 3-2 and 3-3 that are assigned. And then there's also some problems that are assigned. So if you look at problems there, See where it says problems 1, 3, 4, and 8? That would be belonging to chapter 3, right? So you always want to look, when you look at the problems, look at the chapter, the column for the chapter, and you'll see what chapter those belong to. Those are the ones that are assigned. Every once in a while, I may say, skip problem, whatever, right? So I may do that, and I do that every once in a while. So bear in mind, pay attention to that, right? That will be part of the lecture that I give, whether it's online or in class. I'll tell you exactly which problems to do. If I don't say anything, then that means I expect you to do the problems that have actually been assigned here on this agenda. So for example, for this first week, I would expect you then to have problems 1, 3, 4, and 8 from chapter 3 done and submitted. I will actually post a link on Canvas where you can submit your problems. And again, this is part of your assignment grade. I'm not going to be giving you a letter grade on it. It will be pass-fail, but I will review them, and it will be based on the effort that you put in answering those questions. We may also go over some of those questions in class. I may pick one, maybe two. I may focus on one or two of the cases that are assigned as well to go over in class and emphasize certain points. The cases provide you real life examples of how courts address or deal with some of the issues that we're covering in those particular chapters. So that's the importance of the cases. If you're not familiar with the way cases are, the book actually simplifies them quite a bit. If you were in law school or as a lawyer, you'd be reviewing a much more complex decision from the court. The book actually synthesizes it and makes it a lot easier for you to both read and analyze and understand. So I don't expect anybody to have a lot of problems with the cases, but please, again, if I assign a case to a specific group, please be ready to answer those questions related to those cases. When cases are assigned online, so for example, on weeks, week 1, week 3, week 5, that they're online, and you see some cases that are assigned, I do not expect you to turn anything into me related to the cases. The only thing I expect from you are the problems. The cases, I expect you to have read them and again, maybe analyze them or discuss them as a group and be ready to answer questions the next class period related to the case. I may ask questions about a case that was assigned during a week that was online, that we were not on campus, or I may not. In either case, whether I ask you questions or not, you should review those cases. You should be familiar with them because there's a reason I picked those specific cases, because they emphasize points of law that are extremely important, and you may see those in an exam. Okay, so again, that's the importance of going over them and doing them, even though you may not be asked any questions about them in class. Having said that, the only other things I want to point your attention to are the exams. I tried to keep it down to 5 or 6 chapters per exam. So if you look at exam 1, which will be February 1st, it covers chapters 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, and 7, so 6 chapters. The next exam will be March 1st, so a month after that. And again, that one also covers 6 chapters. Next exam after that will be March 15th. So there's only 2 weeks between that second and third exam, and we have a spring break in between. And that one also covers, actually that covers only 5 chapters, a couple less. Then the next exam after that will be April 12th, so again, almost a month after, and that one will actually cover 7 chapters, so a little bit more. And then our final, again, will be May 3rd, and that one covers 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chapters, which are the last 8 that we'll cover. And also could be comprehensive as well. Remember, there will likely be some questions from some of the earlier chapters, but not much. The bulk of that final will be from those chapters that you see out there. So this really is it for the syllabus. Again, I'm pretty good about sticking by this. If I do need to make some changes or modifications for whatever reason, I'm also very good about letting you know what those are. Want to let you know ahead of time also, I'm very fair in my grading. I understand the class is not an easy class. I understand that a lot of you are never going to be going to law school, so I don't teach the class like if you were in law school. I do understand it's a business school class. It is a very basic class, but we do cover a lot of different materials that, even though they're basic to me and they're basic from a legal perspective, they can be very complex to somebody that has not been exposed to law, as many of you have not, or most of you have not. Having said that, please, any questions that you have about the syllabus, about anything in general, please ask me. Please let me know. You can reach me via email, or you can wait till we meet in person in class, and I'll be more than happy then at that point to answer any questions that you may have. I think we're going to have a good time. It'll be a fun class. Another thing that I usually try and do is I bring in some videos of either real life parts of trials or depositions, or sometimes even parts of movies that actually emphasize very well some of the legal points that we'll be discussing in class. So I think overall it'll be a fun class. I really, really enjoy law. I enjoy teaching, and I'm happy to have all of you in the class. So again, please feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions or concerns. And thank you, and please make sure that for this week you listen to the lecture for chapters 1 and chapter 3. We'll see you in class.